finding your all fours with your knees under your hips and your wrists under your hands. You can tuck your toes or lay them flat, depending on how it feels best to you. You're going to round your spine up toward the ceiling. On your exhale, drop the head, drop the tail. And then reverse, inhaling, dropping the belly and spine, lifting the head and tail. Following your breath, exhaling, round the spine up. Inhaling, and the opposite. So maybe 3 to 5 of these. So if you want to do some more, go ahead and do some more. I'm going to go ahead and take it into a little thread the needle. So you'll notice I put my feet flat for this one. And again, this is just personal preference. It feels better this way to me. So I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to feed it through behind my right arm and rotate my upper body until my shoulder's on the ground and my head is on the ground. If this is a difficult position for you, you could absolutely elevate it with blocks or a pillow or a bolster. And then you're just gonna make yourself comfortable. If your hips shifted when you did that, square them again. And then you can, if you want to, add this little bit of pressure through that front arm to create a little bit more rotation. And then just take a couple of breaths here. And then you're gonna press yourself back up to all fours and take it to the other direction. You're gonna rotate, take that right arm through. All right. Shift the hips, make sure they're staying square, and then lift up through that top arm if you want to, or you can just hang out. And breathe. Bring it back up. I'm going to take it into a little inner thigh stretch. Take that leg out to the side. Tuck your back toe for this one, and you're going to rock back toward your heel and then forward. I'm trying to keep my back relatively neutral. I want to be rounding it throughout this movement, right? So just sort of staying neutral. And you can play around with the foot placement of this leg to make sure you're getting a nice stretch through the inner thigh. Hips go straight back and forward. And then you can sit and hang out for a minute. If you want to bring your elbows down to the ground or onto blocks, you can just hang out in the stretch for a second. And then bring it back up. And switch legs, right? Leg goes out, rocking back. Playing around the placement of the leg to find the best stretch. Just a few times here. And then bringing it back, dropping down onto the elbows, hanging out in the stretch for a minute. Again, using blocks or anything you need to if you want to bring the floor up to you a little bit. Or you can completely stay up here. That's fine too. And then bring it back in. You bring your toes together and your knees a little bit wider and drop back into child's pose. So your butt goes down toward your heels, your head comes toward the floor. Again, cushions, pillows, anything to elevate this a little bit to give you a little bit more space is totally legit. And you're just gonna breathe. I like to practice breathing here because your belly is somewhat constrained, so you can really start to feel the breath moving into the back and sides of the ribs. So we'll take a few breaths in the center. And then we're going to walk the arms off the left side of the mat, keeping the hips in exactly the same position to get this nice long stretch through the side of the body. So I'm sort of reaching over my left thigh, reaching out to the side, pulling back on this right hip as if somebody were pulling this way so that I can get that nice long stretch. And then just breathing through it. And again, you can hold these longer than I'm demoing here. And walk it over to the other side and find that same position. Ooh, notice differences. This side is much tighter for me today. And then walk it back up. We're going to finish with a really quick, very gentle little hip flexor stretch. You're going to put your knees in sort of 90-90 position. Everything's at 90 degrees. Tuck the back toe. You can cushion this back knee if it feels cranky. You're going to tuck and contract this glute, right? Think about trying to rotate a little bit so your hip bone pulls up. And then imagine your pelvis is a bowl of water. You're just going to shift it forward, trying not to spill any. You should feel a nice stretch through here, right? It's very small. It's not like a big runner's lunge version of this stretch. We're just going real small. Keeping that glute contracted, keeping that hip pulling up. You can also add the same arm reaching up and over just a little bit. Always holding the stretch for about 30 seconds at least, and maybe a little bit longer if it feels good, or doing it a few times if it feels good. So other side, you're gonna just tuck the pelvis slightly so that this hip bone pulls up a little, this back left glute is contracted. Bowl of water goes straight forward. So on this thing, I probably could have used a little cushioning underneath it. It's just a little cranky. So you throw a rolled up towel, pillow, whatever you got. And then reach the top arm up and over just a little. Also, if you need some support for this, have a chair by your side, grab your foam roller, anything that helps is totally legit. And release it, and you're done.